Brandon and Becca have been a part of our church for a long time. How long have you guys been coming here, you think?
I started coming here in middle school.
Middle school. So you don't want to say how old you are. You just want to say middle school because then it might. She's really old, as you can tell. No, just kidding. And Brandon?
Since 07.
07. So 10, 11 years you guys have been coming. So they this is your third child. And, right? Okay, I thought you held up two. I'm like, no, I'm pretty sure you have three.
Three.
But with this one, things went a little bit differently. So tell us the journey of what happened when he was born. The pregnancy went good, right? Up until he was born?
I always don't feel good during pregnancy. A lot of people don't. Other than that, yeah, it was pretty healthy. Once when I was around like 15 weeks pregnant, I had passed out in Walmart.
Which most of us would pass out at Walmart.
Oh my gosh,
I
the
mean,
floors
just
were
from the
so
stress,
nasty,
right? So.
and like I was sweating, and I was like, "Oh, this floor feels amazing." And, it was bad. I was fine, but because of that, I wanted to get checked out, and ended up going to my old doctor in South Bend. We had previously lived out there before moving to the Elkhart area. And because of that, we had planned on delivering at St. Joe Hospital, even though it was a little bit of a drive.
Versus where were you going to have it delivered?
Elkhart
okay,
Hospital.
So because of what happened, your doctor was there to say, hey, let's do it at St. Joe.
Yep,
okay.
Which has the best NICU in the area, which we didn't know we were going to need.
Right.
So that was a God thing, just even way before anything else happened.
So when you how much longer did you have in your pregnancy when the Walmart?
I was only like 15 weeks pregnant, so this was way early.
Gotcha.
It was like the first time I went to the doctor.
Normal pregnancies are 40 weeks or so.
Thank you. Coming from a man that has 3 kids. I have 2 a long time ago. I'm like, what, so you got like a couple weeks left?
Oh my God. Thank you. Whatever.
So let's fast forward to that 40 week. Tell us what happened next, the journey.
So she actually got birth at 37 weeks, technically still full term, all right? So, I mean, it's a crazy birth story, you know, when you can come up and ask us about that another time. But it was very quick, you know, awesome. You know, she did a fantastic job. But, you know, he came out, everything was perfect. He was cute. We cried. A lot of people cried. And, you know, texts went out and the whole jazz and whatnot. But then after a few hours, 3 hours, well, a few hours to 3, but... another marriage thing we talked about, but
we'll talk about that later. We'll stay with this first. One issue at a time.
So he started grunting and grunting and grunting. It just kind of became consistent, and we're like, "Oh, it's cute grunting." And then all of a sudden, the doctor came in and was like, "Oh, that's actually not so cute. That can be indicative of a lot worse." So about 4 a.m, he was born about midnight. About 4 a.m, they came and took him and said, "All right, we're gonna take him back to NICU. Just do some testing, make sure he's all right. See if this will just be something he works out of his system. You know, it's normally indicative of air in the lungs not being able to get out, but something they can generally work out. You know, the phlegm that's kind of sitting in there per se." I'll let you take it over.
All right. So at that point, we were pretty tired. The NICU had kind of told us, we're going to put him on oxygen for a little bit. This will probably work itself out in a couple hours. So we went back and got cleaned up and went to sleep for a little bit. And about 2 hours later.
Yeah, it was about 8 a.m.
So about 8, we were still asleep. Your worst nightmare started. The NICU doctor came into our room and woke us up and told us that everything was turning for the worst and all his numbers were dropping, and they weren't exactly sure what was wrong, but they were suspicious of something called neurothorax, which is the air sacs in your lungs bursting. And that causes 2 problems. The first one is it doesn't allow the oxygen exchange to happen in your blood. And then secondly, you have these pockets in your chest, so then all the organs and everything start to get crushed. So that was what we were pretty sure we were facing at that point. And they weren't exactly sure why. There was a couple of reasons it could have happened. We later found out, maybe 2 or 3 days later, that he was born with pneumonia. And there's another, we don't know exactly why, but somehow he ended up with that within the first few hours.
So I mean, I don't know how how you want to picture it, but literally he would, so breathing in, would get in his chest cavity, start push his heart and lungs, everything over, and they did it on the right side, had to put a chest tube in to relieve it. Same thing happened again on the left side where everything started getting pushed over this way. So they wound up putting 2 chest tubes in on each side, and I don't even see the scars now. She thinks she can see it, but I can't. But to relieve the air, and he was probably a third of the size then as he was now. But the one side was basically like a marker, a dry erase marker size. On the left side, it was about 2 dry erase markers. So for half the size, that lung capacity is quite large, the amount that was taken out.
So how long did this go on when they were doing procedures and trying to figure out what was going on? Like, is this hours, days?
So he went to NICU about 4 a.m. He started getting really bad about 8 a.m. This is all day 1. He was born at midnight. By noon, he had his first surgery to get his first chest tube put in. His numbers started to look a little bit better and then dropped again. And then they looked at the other side, and the other side was really deceiving because
12 hours later.
Yeah, that was about 2 days old. Just the way that they looked at the x-rays, the first side was really obvious because it was like you could literally see his heart and everything was pushed over. The second side, it was actually crushing around his lung, so nothing was being pushed, which is why the other one went unnoticed and had double the amount of air trapped in there. So he had 2 surgeries, one at about 12 hours old and the other around 2 days old. And at that point, we weren't allowed to pick him up. So the last time we had held him was when he was about 4 hours old, and that was true all the way until the following Sunday, so about 6 days.
So how long?
Monday, sorry. Monday.
How long was he in the hospital from the time he was born until you guys could take him home?
Wednesday to Wednesday.
Yeah.
Okay, so a week, and a lot of that was in NICU.
All of it was NICU.
All of it was.
Yeah.
Okay. So I one part of this story that I think is encouraging. We just came out of the series Invest, and Pastor Scott encouraged us to invest in relationships in this church. Because there's going to be times where you go through some difficult things. You heard him say, listen, the pregnancy was fine. Everything was normal. We didn't expect this. But the encouraging thing is the way our church rallied around them. And I was telling them earlier in my office, it wasn't just the church investing in them, but it was them investing in this church. Since middle school. So, since 2007, they have built relationships here. So tell me a little bit about, specifically even your life group, during that week, during that time, what were some things that they did that kind of boosted you or encouraged you when you were walking through this?
Thank you, sir. I might be stealing Rebecca's words, but one of the, it's what Jason's saying about investing and us deciding to invest. I know that as far as, we've been in life groups for a number of years now. Ryan Zimmerman, back at the soundboard, he was a great life group leader for a group and his wife. And, we've always been back and forth about how involved we have been. But I think this time around with our new life group, we decided we were just going to up our amount of communication and how much we were going to try to invest ourselves. And it was even from the very onset that we tried to do that. And we'd honestly only been to one life group session with this group, but then this happened. But it was really cool because even from the onstart, since we started that communication, when we go in the hospital, we started communicating with them before. So even before things went wrong, they were already praying for us, praying for what was going on. So they were there before us, before things went bad. It wasn't like, hey, things are wrong. It was more of like, hey, here's an update. Here's how we need to pray differently now. So.
Yeah. You have anything to add?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I will tell one other
He
story.
does.
Just say, there's so many encouraging things they did. They gave us monetary gift, which really helped with just gas money. It was just like, the extra expense of being in hospital for a week. You gotta get junk food and whatnot, because you don't want to leave the hospital, so you just go to the nearest restaurant, pick up something, then run back, and just because you don't want to leave them at all when they're in the NICU. So in the extra gas money, we had great family support so they could watch the kids, but to be able to drive back and forth to see the kids more. I mean, it's just a lot of extra expenses. So that really spoke out. But Trisha, one of our life group leaders, came up and talked to us during. And just really encouraged us. They had been through a similar experience, and I think it was just a God thing that we were actually in this life group at this time, given that there were multiple couples in the group that had been through a similar experience. But she came up and she's like, well, I probably don't want to bore you with the details. And without even realizing it, I was like, yes, no, I do want to hear the story. I want to know what's going on. And I was like, that's kind of rude, like tell me about this awful experience in your life. Give me the details, But, she did, and she was happy to share, but it was super encouraging for us at the time to realize that God is in control. This is not something new to him, but that he's been knowing what he's going to do all along to save him, so.
Well, I just want to add this, and then I'll let you guys sit down. You had said a God thing about being in the group, and I believe that. I encourage you now, those that are in a life group, begin to pray, God, where do you want us? Where can we invest the most for us and also being invested into? Because that's what it is. It's both. You are connecting with them, and they are connecting with you. But we're going to walk through some challenging stuff in our lives. We really are. And the encouraging thing is, I tell people all the time, who do you want beside you? Who do you want walking with you? Do you want somebody that is praying to the same God you're praying to? The King of Kings, the Lord of Lords, the one that you have no doubt can take this situation and make good of it. They can heal, that encourage, that can strengthen. Do you want those people beside you in those times? Or do you want somebody that has no walk with Christ, still maybe a good friend? And I'm not saying you don't connect with people like that. But you need people in your life that are going to be there to strengthen you, to encourage you. The scripture says iron sharpens iron. And that's exactly what happened here. It sharpened them. It allowed them to draw closer to God and to be encouraged. So as you're thinking about what life group do I need to be into, my guess that, they said they only went to one meeting because it was early on in that session. But I told them in my office again, you probably don't remember much of what was talked about in that session, or maybe even a few as far as the discussion notes or whatever you're walking through, going through as a group, but you remember those relationships with it. But you're not going to forget that connecting time. One cool thing, you guys can have a seat. I thank you so much. And one more thing to add.
Yeah, sorry, one more thing.
Matt, you might not get to preach.
So I just want to say thank you so much to everybody. I know that the Sunday morning after having our life group came here, met early. That meant a lot to us. Just came and prayed. Just so grateful for that. I think everybody prayed together that Sunday morning. We were at a 3-hour to 3-hour basis, but we knew people were praying for us and covering us with prayer. And I just can't thank you guys enough for that. If it hadn't been for that in my life, I don't know how we would have even made it through that time. So thank you.